So yeah, there we go. I
Windows.
I got a little extra time that we're starting now because I basically need to leave the house in like an hour 20, but that's enough
Okay.
time for this. I mean, an hour was enough,
Yeah,
right? But now it's
should
like
be.
slightly, it's more something.
Should be.
Yeah,
It's more time and more place.
that's right. Extra time and place.
It's an addition, another more time and more place.
Mm. Okay, that could have been a good alternate title. Another
um,
extra more time and another extra more place.
yes. I mean, that's how much sense this episode made.
Mm. It scientifically checks out, I believe. So
Um,
let's see. Are you who intros this? We haven't done this for a while, have we?
doesn't matter. I'll do it.
You do it.
Let me make sure I'm not gonna fucking. God, I moved a bunch of shit around too. Ah,
You should have
my life's
introduced and then did that.
my life's supposed to be easier, not harder now. uh, also put my camera on a mic stand. That's pretty cool.
I should get a mic stand. So
I
then I'd
had
have
it
to.
on a. I'll show you what I had it on this fucking plant stand,
All right, but it's a stand of some kind.
but it's like very. Uh, it was very edgy because this is like slick and that was on a glass table. So I mean, it's one of those
It
things where if I bumped it a little bit, it would have just slid off.
makes life more exciting that way.
Yeah, but it's even more exciting when you know it's not going to happen.
Mm.
All right. Welcome to Podcast 1999, the podcast about the show Space 1999, not the year 1999.
That's
I'm your
true.
host, Mark 1999 Malik.
I'm Matt. This is Matt here.
Yeah,
It's
Matt
been a while since we
1999.
it's been a while since we recorded an episode, and I had actually forgotten the name of the podcast briefly, and then you said it, so that kind of worked out
Imprisoned in 1999.
because it's been another time and another place where actually same place another time last time we did one of these. So
Same, but two different places.
two different places. So I guess that leaves another place. But as far as like comparison to the last episode we recorded, it's the same place. You see what I'm
But
saying?
really, I mean, the Earth is constantly traveling, so we're really never recording this in the same place. We won't even be in the same place when we're done recording this as we are now.
So you're saying that this episode is scientifically accurate.
Yes, it's 100% scientifically accurate.
It is the episode Another Time, Another Place, wherein the moon splits into two and goes back to Earth, but they're 5 years apart, and then the one moon crashes into the moon, and that makes everything better. Did I get that right?
Yeah. Did you
You'll
ever see the movie Another Earth?
uh, I maybe
You know about it though,
I know
right?
about it. Yeah.
This is sort of like that. I don't remember very specific things about that movie, but I thought it was super dumb and felt stupid the entire time I was watching it.
Maybe that's
And
why I only like am like maybe when you say it. Yeah.
it's I don't know what to compare it to. It was sort of it came out around the time Vanilla Sky came out, but it was less artistic than that. Because it's
Okay.
literally just, oh, there's another Earth up there, and somebody like kills a guy in a car accident because they're drunk driving or something, and then they win a trip to the other Earth, and then she goes and like hooks up with the guy she killed on the other Earth.
Yeah, I think I maybe saw it and completely forgot about it. So, okay.
Stupid. I remember being stupid. I could be wrong, but I think it was
Mm.
stupid.
Well,
And
how about
this
this episode? Was this episode
episode
stupid?
is also stupid.
Oh no, you're gonna put that right out on the doormat.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was fun, but it was pretty stupid.
It had some
I
very good
mean, it was pretty
lines.
stupid.
Okay. Well,
The worst thing about it by far was the fact that uh that I had to keep hearing people say Regina. That was the worst.
why is that the worst?
It's Regina. I don't know. It's just say Regina. God, it's
Regina?
I don't know why it bothered me so much for someone to be named Regina, but it bothered
Regina.
me.
Oh, so it's not Regina,
Regina.
it's Regina. I
You
never
couldn't
wrote down
tell?
her name because I was confused.
I mean, I think it spelled like Regina, but everyone just kept saying Regina.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's a Anglo thing to do. I don't know.
It's
Um,
Canadian, perhaps.
right. Well, throw out. You got some trivia, do you?
I do.
Let's hear it.
Direct Director for this episode is David Tomblin. You might know him as the co-creator and director, the co-creator of The Prisoner and the director of 2 episodes of that show. You can find more information on him over in our Prisoner podcast, in Prison of the Prisoner Prison Cast, which I will withhold the information to force you to go listen to it. But relevant to this show, Tomlin had previously directed 2 episodes of UFO and will be back for 3 more episodes of this series. Tomlin mostly worked as an assistant director for the rest of his career, but had one more credit as director after Space 1999 was over, which was 1982's Return of the Ewok.
Just one Ewok. Or is that
Yep,
plural? No, it's Ewoks.
only
So
one.
that's one Ewok
It said
returning.
on an IMDb, it said Return of the Ewok.
Okay. Which is the one
Maybe
where the kid touches the water and then gets stuck under the water? That one scarred me as a kid. It's that or
sounds
the other
dirty.
one. That's that or the other Ewok movie.
Yeah, there weren't there just 2 that came out as a double feature, and
Well, they came out on TV in different times.
yeah, I
Yeah.
hate it. I hate it.
I
Uh,
just remember the kid touches the water and then he's trapped under the water, and that like freaked me out.
Maybe I'd like it better now, but I remember hating it as a kid.
Mm. We didn't have lightsabers in X Wing, so
Yeah, no.
we couldn't afford that.
It was yeah, it was a different time. The principal writer for
Different
this
place.
episode, a different place, a different Earth. The principal writer for this episode is Johnny Byrne, who co-wrote this with the Andersons. He previously had a credit for rewriting the script that eventually became Matter of Life and Death, an episode that I also thought was kind of stupid. And this is his first fully original script for the show. Notably, he objected to the plot point of Regina having 2 brains, which was changed without his consent. He'll be back to write 9 more Space 1999 episodes. Our guest star this week is Judy Geeson, or possibly Geeson, as Regina Kesselin.
Regina.
Geeson was that's too many G's. This damn hard G's. Geeson was a performer from an early age and switched from ballet to acting by age 12 because some of the ballet moves were giving her headaches. Her early career had her starring in such works as Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush, 3 into 2 Won't Go, and It's Not the Size That Counts. In the 1980s, she settled in the US. She showed up on 2 episodes of Star Trek Voyager as the holodeck program Sandrine, and her recent career has included 2 Rob Zombie films. She's still with us and was acting as of 2022. That's trivia.
So we don't know about this year then.
Yeah,
Maybe she could have retired. I don't know.
I
Um,
didn't see an upcoming on there, so I don't know.
okay. Where's your stupid summary then?
Maybe she's waiting for Rob Zombie to make another film. Summary is right here. I thought this was going to be short, and it is not.
Okay.
Moonbase Alpha is drifting along, and the crew are all minding their business when suddenly the moon enters an anomaly which seemingly duplicates everyone and sends them billions of miles away. Everyone is feeling a little off, but Regina Castellan has it the worst and has fallen unconscious. When she comes to, she is saying things that seemingly make no sense about the crew, like being married to Alan Carter, who actually barely knows her, and he and Koenig being dead, and somehow she's getting sunburned. The crew finds that somehow they are drifting into Earth's orbit, or at least what seems like Earth. Koenig has decided that he can finally execute Operation Exodus, even though Earth isn't responding to any of their communications, and Regina's mental condition keeps getting worse. Everyone is excited to enter orbit, but Regina bursts into the celebration wielding a gun, flings herself into Carter's arms, and then convulses and dies. Soon, Bergman reveals that the Earth they're now orbiting is now uninhabitable except for an area in Southern California called Santa Maria. And Dr. Russell discovers that Regina had 2 brains, and the pressure is what killed her. What's more is the crew finds the duplicate moon is also orbiting this Earth, a visit there a visit there shows that the duplicate Moonbase Alpha had been abandoned, and duplicate Koenig and Carter are both dead, just like Regina said they were. Helena is worried that contact with their duplicate selves could be fatal, but it also turns out that the duplicate moon is moving towards the original moon and it's accelerating, so Operation Exodus is a go. Helena says that only Koenig and Carter should go since their other selves are dead, but she also comes along to study the medical implications anyway. They find a colony of moon-based duplicates living in Santa Maria with several familiar faces, although they're 5 years older and some of them have children. They aren't sure if this Earth is in the future or the past, but no one is here but them. The Alphans find out that Earth Regina also died at the same time as Moon Regina, and then Earth Helena decides that she will also die, but only after giving Koenig a kiss because she was married to dead Koenig. The Earth colonists demand that the Alphans return to the moon to collide with the other moon so that time will reset itself, and they have no place on Earth at all. Then they do as they're told, and after colliding with the other moon, they're teleported back into space and everything seems back to normal. Koenig questions if the duplicates ever even existed, but Helena still has a bouquet of roses from Santa Maria.
Freeze frame, just in case you didn't catch the roses.
Anyway,
I don't know. This was my jam. It had lots of psychedelic lighting. It didn't make
yeah,
sense in a way that I find enjoyable. Um,
it was trippy. It's not a bad episode. It's just really dumb. And
okay. I was
and
like, I guess I was thinking of, did I switch to Roger Corman's The Trip is in my notes, which I suppose you could, that's one of my favorite movies, but I suppose that's a movie you could also call dumb. It's The Trip directed by Dario Argento. That's what I'm thinking.
kind of. Yeah, it was definitely, if we had a tripometer for this series, then it would be pretty high on the tripometer. But the thing is, I it's a pet peeve of mine of the highest order that when people just say, "Hey, look, just go and die and everything will be fine," and then everything just works out magically. That is annoying.
I mean, obviously this came much earlier, but I feel like maybe on Deep Space Nine, they kind of refined this a bit with the Children of Time episode, if you've seen that one.
Yes. The
That
thing
that's
is, that episode kind of pissed me off because the thing that Odo does is ridiculously irresponsible in that episode.
casual Odo.
Yeah. Yeah, sexy Odo.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
well,
sure. He waltzes in there being all sexy and makes Kira all pretty excited, clearly, but it's not it was irresponsible, and it's one of those. There are several Deep Space Nine episodes that I know people have like issues with where they kind of veer way off the what's supposed to be Star Trek, like, and like in the Pale Moonlight is the obvious one, even though that one I think is a lot more entertaining. But now I'm getting way off track.
yeah.
But yeah, it kind
Um,
of is like that episode.
I mean,
I like that better
these guys
for
have
this.
nowhere else to go. The town won't take them. It's like, I guess we're gonna go to our exploding moon.
Yeah,
Where else
yeah,
are they gonna
that's
go?
well. I mean, if you had a choice between you die on Earth or you die exploding on the moon, then at that point, do you even care? Like, how do you how do you make that decision?
Is
It's
the correct
just
choice die on exploding moon then, right? That's more exciting because that way when it's like what is it? Maybe it's George Carlin bit about if you're in heaven, you're like, man, I died in the apocalypse. Actually, I don't. It could have been David Cross or Patton Oswalt too, because those are the comedians that are on my non-functional iPod that I play in the car. So it's one of those three.
yeah, you kind of lost
How'd
me
you
there, but
die? How'd you die? Food poisoning. How'd you die? I got murdered by my wife. How'd you die? I died in the apocalypse, man. That's what they get to do if this doesn't work, right?
you think that the people who died because like in unsavory ways get like bullied in heaven, like
Um,
I messed up and the refrigerator fell on me
they get
and stuff like
cyberbullied in
that.
heaven.
Man, if heaven has the internet, then there's no hope for any of us.
Heaven has Y and Z, man.
What? Axes?
No, X, Y, and Z, because Twitter's X now. I was making a really obscure joke.
Oh, Yeah, that's gonna age really badly.
Yeah, I know that. I knew that as soon as it started coming out of my mouth.
Well,
I kind of regretted saying it as I was saying it. One of those
well,
things.
it's okay because a year ago we were all doing find us on Twitter if it's still there jokes, and those have also aged badly.
Actually, not because who knows what's there. Okay.
Well, it's gonna clearly gonna die slowly.
Can I do an experiment here?
Sure.
Earth orbit, Earth orbit, Earth orbit, Earth orbit. No, you
Is
didn't.
that
Okay.
is that how fast?
That's how fast it was. But when I was watching the episode, in between each of those, my brain would just play Lisa needs braces. Earth orbit, Lisa needs braces. Because it just kept going for like a minute.
Yeah, I think I do have that in my notes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you didn't catch me real time. That's fine. Doesn't have to happen. Um 45 hours to achieve orbit. This is definitely like living in slow space. How do you feel about slow space? What's your favorite kind of space? Slow
Well,
space or fast space?
I think slow space is better because you can let people go and scream and have sunburns for a minute before you get come back to them.
Maybe that's why especially newer Battlestar was so successful. It gives you both because the Battlestar itself is moving in slow space, right? And the big
Hmm.
Cylon ships are definitely slow space, but all the Vipers and stuff, that's there you get your whip zang bing space there, right? Because here, the
It's
fastest you go is an Eagle, which doesn't. I mean, I guess well they crash into the moon surface pretty quickly, so I guess they got that going for them. But
it's always going to be as convenient as fast as possibly is convenient for the episode, right? There's a lot
right,
of this is kind of a busy episode for maybe a little busier than usual for this show, perhaps.
I mean, this is weirdly kind of like even more in Star Trek, it's kind of a workplace drama, right? I mean, it really has an
Hmm.
office building feel that just happens to be on the
Yeah,
moon. So I
I
am
love that
wondering
about it.
when they do split and go through the weird psychedelic wormhole or whatever, how many soiled pants do you think we have once everything stops?
Do you think that maybe one duplicate soiled their pants and the other one didn't, and that's what happened for everyone?
No, because the Regina has has sunburn from the Earth Regina.
Right.
So it seems that even if the other didn't do it, they'd still end up with the consequences.
Hmm.
That sucks when you get shafted by your duplicate, your doppelganger
But
shafts you. Yeah.
I think it's like only her that has the real problem. It wasn't ever entirely clear why she was afflicted so badly with
Two
the two
brains.
brains and all that stuff. Two brains. Uh Also, that's ridiculous. And if you had two brains in one head, your head would just explode immediately.
That was your trivia where you're saying the writer hated it.
Yeah.
Okay, just making
I
sure I
mean,
didn't read that somewhere else
and
because
yeah, to be clear, I don't think this is a great writer, but he was absolutely right to be mad about that because that's far
well
and
he's
above dumber than everything else.
he's a pretty good Space 1999 writer, so I know he's going to step up to the plate
Yeah.
for a few more before we're finished here.
Well, I mean,
Well,
it's
how
interesting.
does Helena die then? That makes way less sense. Also, I like, oh, let's make her look old by just not putting makeup on her and giving her a frumpy hairstyle.
She was I was sort of like she was still strikingly hot as maybe hotter like that. I don't I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know. I just thought it was funny. It's just like obviously, I mean, there probably was some makeup, but it was done like dumpier, and then they were like, give her a dumpy hairstyle. I'm like, well, she didn't actually look
Uh,
older.
I
She
think
just
she
they
was
confused
hot
the
because
stylist.
she was just staring at Martin Landau like how
That
they
probably.
probably stare at each other when they're done having a fight or whatever it is.
Oh no, I was gonna say that I think Martin Landau would get stared at a lot for being a peculiar looking guy even before he was famous, right?
Well, I mean, they're married.
No, no, I know that. I'm just talking about
I
like
mean,
people responding to Martin Landau when they see him. You know, just like
yeah.
Leonard Nimoy. Like even if you never knew who Spock was, that dude would. He has an interesting facial bone structure, as does
Hmm.
Landau. So
Yeah.
Landau's more like a He's got the structure of like what, like an Aztec death whistle or something, right?
He looks sort of like a bird, like a condor or something.
Yeah, condor. There we go. That gets me back into my kind of Central South American. I know Aztec's not South, but maybe
Hmm.
the Peruvian vibe is more where you'd get that. I don't know.
Maybe like an eagle. So is it ironic that Carter and Koenig died in an eagle? We've had so many people die in eagles in the show.
That's the number one cause of death in Space 1999. Yeah, dying in an
Yeah,
eagle,
it's
which
really
I assume
cool.
they can keep fabricating. You can. They must have a fabrication station on the moon. So
Well, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think they're just slowly building more of them out of the random buildings on the base.
anyway, why
It's getting smaller as they
why
go.
does Earth Helena die? Out of shock? It's just because the script tells her she needs to die. Are
I,
we like we're halfway to time cop rules? Maybe I'm not sure.
I'm gonna posit that she is of the Amidala bloodline
Okay, yeah, sure.
because Amidalas have a weak bloodline
Hmm.
and they just die because they get tired. All of them, every single one.
Just get
Padme
tired and
dies
die.
because she gets tired. Luke dies because he gets tired. Leia dies because she gets tired. Ben dies because he gets tired. It's just the family curse. I
Okay.
mean, you could say broken heart, but it was obvious that she was just tired. I don't care. I don't care what this stupid movies say. They're all weak and they die because they get tired.
I don't know. I like my we're halfway to time cop rules theory
Yeah, that's
better.
this probably is closer in the sci-fi axis to Time Cop than it is Star Wars by a significant margin.
Actually, you mentioned it's like she gives him the glance, the post fight glare, and I did write in my notes like I wasn't sure if she was going to kiss him or stab him, so I guess I get that.
Well, when she was having that talk with regular Helena, we'll call her Alpha. We might as well call them Alpha. Their moon base is Alpha, and they're the quote
Beta
unquote
blockers,
originals. The
the
other
beta
ones are
blockers,
betas. The other ones
beta
are betas.
blockers, because they're
They're
blocking
from
them
moon
from
base.
joining.
They're from moon base beta.
Okay.
I thought that beta Helena was just going when she was having that talk. I thought she was just gonna like walk into her and disappear. And that did
Wait a
not happen.
minute. Shouldn't the ones on the Earth be the Alphans because they were there first?
They're
So the crew
maybe
that
they're
were
older,
following
so they're weaker.
the crew that were following the whole time, they would actually be the betas, right? And
I
also
like the
because they're
idea.
told to leave and they just leave to go on an exploding moon. That's pretty beta.
I was hoping, I was really hoping, and this obviously went out the window pretty quickly. I was hoping that the ones we were following at the beginning turned out to be the duplicates, and then like we ended up following the originals, and those ones all died. Like Voyager did that, right?
Yeah, it's the duplicates that all die, but yeah.
But I mean, in Voyager, you're following at the beginning, you're following the doomed ones, and then you
And the
meet
real
up with them.
Voyager shows up in like the last 3 seconds.
Yeah,
Sorry to spoil your Voyager for you. I won't tell you what episode. There, I'll keep it at least that veiled.
it's a better episode than this. Anyway,
I do call that one of my favorite Voyagers, though it's usually
it's
I
really
think a
good.
lot of people consider it to be a crap episode, but uh,
Eh,
I've seen some
well,
bile on that one. But yeah,
hmm. I would
but
like
yeah,
to know to X at us if you think that that episode is worse than this episode.
sounds like cross us out or something.
I think they should be called kisses because you get
What?
it like X and O. You should be it's instead of tweets, it's kisses.
Oh no, I was podcasting yesterday and I got the real reason it's X now.
Uh,
This comes
what?
from I was talking to Brian and he was like, "What's the closest thing Musk could get to a swastika?"
Oh, yeah, good point. I thought he was just always obsessed with the letter X because he thought it was cool, and he
It's the
took
closest thing you
X
can get
dot
to a
com.
swastika.
He took X.com like 20 years ago or something like that. He was just obsessed with it because he's got the brain of a 12-year-old.
That's yeah.
X. The funny thing is that we're in a time where something you could name your, when Google came out, nobody really made fun of it. Like, look how stupid it's called Google. but then you can make something called X or Threads, and people make fun of you all day.
Thread sounds like a clothing line. I don't know.
Well, some of our British listeners probably would only think of that as the harrowing and terrifying nuclear fallout movie.
Oh
You know what I'm talking
yeah.
about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's like the day
Yeah.
after for the UK. Yeah.
That's way, way worse than the day after. And I saw day after when it came out here and it was upsetting, but yeah, Threads is a lot worse.
Yeah.
Um
Um, where was I? Sorry, I just lost my little my train just left the station. So are Koenig and
Another
Carter
Earth.
corpse buddies now? Like
I
blood
guess so.
brothers? They're corpse
They
buddies.
I think that maybe or we take is our takeaway that if you get married, then you die in an eagle.
Oh, no. Koenig and
Yeah, they
Carter. They're
both
not
got
they
married.
oh, they both got married. Okay. I thought you were
They
like,
both
did
got
they
married to doomed people who disappeared
right. Okay. Sorry, I thought you were saying like they had gotten married, which would also be cool, but I
to
was
each
like,
other. Yeah, on the eagle, I hope so. But that might have doomed them.
and there was
All of it.
the weird meta where Helena is um dissecting her real life husband, but kind of in episode husband too, but she doesn't necessarily know that. That's just a weird
Yeah.
little, fourth wall bit of confusion that has nothing to do with the story. But yeah.
I loved the sequence where they were exploring the dead moon base. That was probably my favorite part of this.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get to because that, like I said, we get a little psychedelia, we get a little apocalypse, we get a little bit of brain benders that don't quite make sense. I'm a little more up on this one than you are because I kind of remembered like when I was looking at the plot descriptors. Oh, I remember this one because it's just like nutso, which I
Yeah.
like nutso sometimes. I mean, if it holds together, so I guess it's like you feel like it doesn't hold together.
I'm
It doesn't quite hold together for you like maybe it does for me.
I'm annoyed. I'm extremely annoyed by fate as a plot device, and that's part of why I favor Star Trek over a lot of other TV series because they never, almost never, fall back on that. It's they'll get out of anything,
I
and this is sort of like, hey, go and just die, and then see what happens, and then it's fine. This is the second time that that's happened. I believe there was
I don't
what
think
was
it's
the
the last.
aging thing? Yeah, of
Yeah,
course
I
not.
don't think it's the last. Well, that one. Another time when, yeah, I wouldn't say it's fate though. It's just like a weird breakdown of reality. So,
but
because
it's like what are they doing and why are they doing it? They're just sort of they're doing the let go and let God thing, which
well, I feel like Barry Morse had like some still had some scientific mind on this. He had his telescope, like they had gotten rid of most of their tech, but he might have actually worked out some concepts where they maybe don't have time to sit there and explain, but where he knew that the recombining of the moons would end the timeline. I mean, he's still a scientist, right?
it makes sense. I mean, it makes as much sense as anything else.
Would
But
30
I just
seconds of techno babble from him like make it better
I
or worse for you?
I would rather have I would rather have them done some kind of math and decided for themselves that it was the best thing to do than the colonists just being like, get out. We're all dressed like Jesus. Get out of here.
Oh yeah, I do have it. What's my note for that? Jesus Koenig. Okay, he came back. Oh, that's because yeah. He's like
But
kind of
this,
resurrected. But it is the people in the town wearing the actual digs, isn't it? Triangular
like
windows. Those are the best
so,
windows.
like anyone deciding to accepting their fate doesn't bother me. The thing that bothers me is when someone else orders them to,
Hmm.
or just and in a way that doesn't make sense. It also kind of annoys me that I assume this is going to be a constant theme that Koenig is obsessed with executing Operation Exodus, even when it doesn't make any sense. It's like, no, man, Earth isn't responding to us, but let's go. Let's go to Earth right now. This isn't suspicious at all. This is
What's
the
like how on
matter of life
Voyager
and death.
again on Voyager how Janeway always wants to blow up the ship.
Yeah, yeah, but that's cool though.
So it's cooler to blow up the ship than just to leave.
I have a soft spot for Captain Janeway. I admit it. Um,
Okay.
it's the
uh,
accent.
yeah. Having a look through at anything else. There are a few like lines I liked. Oh, I got excited because I thought Koenig said I thought her condition was a mental one, but he did say mental, so that
But
was a little
yeah,
weird.
he said, but then it was two brains. So is two brains not a mental condition? That's like twice as mental.
Well, I guess that's technically physical now, right? So because was there physically two brains? Was there like one on each
Yeah.
side? Like so, there's like
Yeah, it was
yeah,
a stupid looking x-ray with the brain and the eyes. It was just like two tiny brains next to each other.
right. Okay, I
It
didn't
looked really
stare
dumb.
at that. I didn't stare at that for too long. I didn't pause it or anything there. So
Yeah, it was I mean, it was endearingly silly, but it was also stupid.
well, let's
uh
turn the key a little bit, unless you got another big observation you want to make, and I will throw out our assessment of this as the level of existential dread versus sci-fi fun in this one. Um,
well, one more thing I was going to say is that we were talking about the trippiness of this episode in general, that
right.
this does have an original score for the most part, and this episode's soundtrack will be the most reused out of any. So get ready to hear a lot of this trippy stuff reused.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure. Why not? I can
yeah,
live with that.
yeah,
Okay.
me too.
Um. Anyway, how much percentage of this for you was existential dread, and how much of it was sci-fi fun?
I mean, it's like 95% existential dread, pretty much.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking 90, 95, but the thing is, there is some fun baked into that. But there's some sci-fi fun baked into the dread in this episode, right? I
I
thought.
think it's almost like the fun depends on how funny you think it is that Regina is just running around screaming and acting like a maniac
Well, she's got
before
a
she
bad sunburn and
dies.
two brains.
I mean, I love the her over, if there is such a thing as overacting, but she definitely is doing it. And the way
Sunburnt killjoy she is.
she's dressed like a member of ABBA or something the whole time, like whatever hospital gown is.
I don't know if this is an urban legend or not, but I heard like the reason ABBA wore that stuff was because there was a loophole in like Swedish tax clauses where you could write off your clothes if it was something you would never wear like out in the public, right? So it's like all of the ABBA suits, like you can't wear these in like a mall. So they got like a tax cut, something on them, tax
That's
break.
brilliant.
It is brilliant, and you get to look awesome on stage. So
And then, about a year later, the monks did that and it destroyed their career.
yeah, oh well. Anyway, that's because they didn't
But
do
it
like
wasn't
ABBA.
Sweden, that was Germany.
Yeah, but then that was earlier, wasn't it? Okay.
It might be early. It might be
It was
earlier. Yeah, you're
60.
right.
Sorry, my music dork is stepping in here
You're
and
smart. You're better at this than I am. But I was
it
trying
is
to contribute anything. I was just thinking of themed outfits.
okay. Yeah,
And that
War.
did not work for them. Gore.
I,
Yeah, I'm sure that Gore could write off everything they made.
I'd like to see Gore doing their taxes.
Yeah, I wonder how uncomfortable those were.
Yeah,
They must have been pretty like specifically made to be able to play in them
yeah. Like
without.
the arms are loose, but I mean, otherwise you can just plant yourself on stage in a big blob of rubber, right? You know.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably foam.
the Muppet folks probably had it worse. I
Yeah, a
did
lot
learn
of
that
them were just under somebody else
I
wheeling around and stuff.
I did learn that Jim Henson's thing was you can call us puppeteers, you can call us Muppet performers, but he didn't like Muppeteers, which I'm like, I don't. That's a good
Hmm,
word. What's wrong with you, dude? Okay.
interesting.
I like Muppeteer. Anyway, yeah, don't call him a Muppeteer. That's offensive to Jim Henson. So
That's like how the Lego Corporation doesn't want you calling them Legos.
yeah, that sort of thing, I guess. So, mm. So yeah, this I think when this might be the episode kind of in the back of my mind where I like formulated our little assessment for these episodes in general because this one has so much weird existential dread. Instead of Black Sun, right? So
Hmm.
that yeah, at least in
That's
season
the
one we're
other
just
one.
mired in this sort of thing, right?
I guess Black Sun is the other one where everything just kind of worked out conveniently. They just were like, screw it, let's go through the Black Sun.
Yeah, because they're like zero
Yeah.
percentage of survival, 0%, right? Chance
And
that
this is
they're
just
gonna.
like, yeah, we've gone through a sun. Let's go through a moon.
Yeah,
Why not?
it worked out. Okay, they didn't. They didn't even
I
have to
mean,
like get old and have bizarre conversations and learn
it
about
did work
like
out.
existence. So,
But I'm also going to get into my third pet peeve about science fiction, which is that, man, how many Earths are we gonna come across? This happens a lot in Star Trek. That this is one thing where I think maybe Voyager is the worst, where they go into unexplored area of space and they keep finding Earth stuff. It's like, come on, dude, really? What was it? They found a cave full of classic cars or something like that
well,
that one
that
time.
yeah, that Earth people are actually living on that planet. So,
Yeah, like what the hell?
and you could be like, why did they all get transported there? But hey, why did Voyager get transported there? You know, it happens from time to time.
I think Voyager got transported there because of some keeper alien or something. I don't even. That was one of the weird ones where I don't remember much about the pilot.
Hmm. It's worth rewatching sometime. Uh, anyway, yeah, I guess we're getting almost as much of the Voyager in this episode of Space 1999. But there are, I
Yeah.
feel like this one in particular has parallels, you know, because it
Well,
does.
the series have parallels. It's about being
Well,
lost in space.
well, that and I
So
guess
like
that
lost in
more
space.
of that Deep Space Nine episode, I guess, is really what came to mind. Sorry, I'm correcting
Yeah.
myself there, but
Mm.
mm.
It's
So
about
so I would call this a trippy episode. And you call it a stupid trippy episode, basically.
yeah.
I'm not quite willing to put the phrase stupid on it. More just like really trippy.
I
But
don't I don't want to come across like I'm just mad at it, but it just has some stupid things in it that I think are stupid.
okay, no, I got you. I got you. Um,
It's like I still think it's an incredible looking show, and the cast, especially the cast, it's like even Regina running around screaming is still like particularly good acting. I can't complain about any of that stuff. It's just the writing is
but yeah, as the guy who does Twilight Zones every week, maybe I'm a little more like whatever for that sort of thing. I'm like, that's just how these things work out. But
yeah. The
except for
thing
the two brains were stupid. That's for sure.
the thing about Twilight Zone is they have to establish everything. They have to establish the entire world, so there has to be some kind of efficiency.
Mm-mm.
Like
But
I don't know, I was having some internet comment discussion about how Star Wars was incredibly conservative because it has to be because they're pulling from so many like different influences that the underlying story has to be simple. And that's why Star Wars is kind of dumb sometimes.
wow, you're edge lording today.
Yeah, just kidding. Everybody's gonna be kissing at us super hard.
um, well, but before you cancel yourself, man, or just to end the episode, can you tell them where we're at?
We're at podcast 1999. Do we have social media?
I was kind of queuing you up to
Podcast
just do the Patreon
patreon.com.
spiel.
We're at patreon.com/podcastio, podcastius. Find all kinds of awesome podcasts about all kinds of awesome things and sometimes not so awesome things. Uh,
Okay.
game show about games, Luclos, Pokemon, Occult Disney, Time Enough podcast for the Twilight Zone, Films and Filth, the Citizen Kane of podcasting, going over all kinds of films, taking a little bit of a hiatus from Hollywood stuff because of the strike, and who knows if the strike will ever end.
Well, by
It
the time
probably isn't
you're
over
hearing
now.
this, we probably finished that. So, but you
We'll
could go
see.
back and listen to all the weird stuff we talked about. So, uh,
We will see. I am cautiously pessimistic about the strike ending. And Hyrule Field Report going over Tears of the Kingdom probably for the rest of time because that game is so huge. And that's all of the podcasts.
yeah. So, Mark, get off of this podcast. You need to go to an exploding moon right now.
I mean, are you sure?
Yes. Get
Okay,
off.
I'm
Get
going
off
to
of the podcast. Do it.
all right.
Exploding moon now.
All right, I'm going to Exploding Moon.